Everyone, Don Gillis from Emerson. I'm in Sydney, Ohio at the Copeland plant, and I have your Fun Fact Friday for you today. Um, today we're going to talk about vacuum pumps and micron gauges and all that good stuff. How important is it to, when we're installing that system at the get from the very beginning of these little things that we do? It is so important. As my career went on, I learned more and more and more, and the more I learned, the more I realized when I first started out as just an installer or helper, those little things that I was doing are so crucial to the longevity of that system. We often say in our classes, or I do, the things we do on the initial installation might not show their ugly head for a week or two or a year or 5 years. And then you show up at Mr. or Mrs. Jones' house or the store owner's place of business and you tell them the compressor's out and the comments made, they just don't make things like they used to. So we want to be very important, especially with nowadays with the use of POE oil so much in almost all of the applications that are out there. Okay, it's very hygroscopic, which means it absorbs moisture very easily. So you have to be careful. Emerson's going to tell you you want to get down to at least 500 microns. And I'm going to tell you that is the lower you can go, the better on most applications. Okay. Anymore when I'm talking to students or technicians in the courses we do, I mean, we're looking at easily 200, 300. There used to be a myth out there that, if you went down too low on certain oils, that it would break it down. Just not true anymore, if it ever was. Okay, so don't be afraid to get down there. Most of your manufacturers, microns or vacuum pumps, pardon me, some of them will get down as low as 50 microns. I mean, it's incredible what they can do. So never be too afraid to get down there. I'm going to share some slides here with you. Uh, Bear with me here for a second while I find them. Let's see here. There it is. Okay, I can get this pulled up. Okay, we are looking at system evacuation, 500 microns or less, as we talked about, removing moisture and non-condensable. We're removing moisture. Well, we're lowering that pressure inside that system, pulling it down. Okay, unlike atmospheric pressure or standard atmospheric pressure at 14.7, we're pulling it down. So on Earth, as we talked about before, we boil water at 212 degrees. Well, if we get it down a lot lower, we can boil water, and you'll see a lot lower at 500 microns or less. Okay, we're removing the water by vapor. Okay, valve cores should be removed. Very important. Use vacuum rated core tool. Use the proper sized vacuum rated hoses. Okay, and I'm going to show you a little side note later on about what that looks like if you use standard refrigeration hoses. They're not made to pull down a vacuum, first of all, so you're going to run into a lot of problems. Third point here is use the correct size pump. A rule is pump size square. Example would be 3 CFMs equal to 9 ton or less. I think in the field, from what I had and what I've seen talking to most, 7 CFMs it seems to be pretty normal. If you have something that's a 10 CFM vacuum pump, you can do about 96% of the jobs out there. Okay. More importantly than the size of the vacuum pump, for my money, you could have a 1 CFM vacuum pump, all honesty, and pull down to 500 microns. Now, it may take a week or so or 2 days or whatever, but it's going to pull it down. Obviously, I'm just being funny, but for my money, this is the most important one. Keep your vacuum pump oil. Don't be the guy or gal that only changes your oil when it tips over in your truck. Milky white is too long, okay? It's really important. I see a lot of people that's done this over the years, and they buy a brand new vacuum pump, and 3 months down the road, they're making the comment that that thing's junk or whatever. They don't realize that that oil is holding moisture, okay? Compound gauges, obviously, that's a no-no in our world. We're going to ask you to use calibrated electronic micron gauges. I think calibrated is a key word there. And then do a standing vacuum test, pardon me. Value of a micron gauge. What is the value of a micron gauge? Our gauges, our compound gauges equals 2 inches. Mercury is the equivalence of 50,800 microns. Now, think about that. I just said we want to get down to 500 microns, and in between two of those little hash marks is 50,800 microns. So that's a big difference. And close cannot be, close doesn't count in the world we're living in here, okay? Now let's take a look at this. At atmospheric pressure, we have 760,000 microns at the face of the Earth. Our gauges are zeroed out at atmospheric pressure. We boil water at 212 degrees, yada, yada, yada. 50,000 microns, only because that's where it was showing us at there at the in between the hash marks, 50,000. We're boiling water at 101 degrees, okay? But what does it look like if we're doing 500 microns? Well, we're boiling water at minus 12. It's colder outside. Whatever you're trying to pull down, you may have to add heat to that system, to that condenser or that coil. Get that moisture out of there. But the whole idea is to change that microns in there, pull that pressure down, and vaporize that moisture. Let's talk about our vacuum pump real quick here. Performing a blank off. A blank off, think of it as a faucet either open and close. You can do multiple things with it. First of all, you want it shut when you're traveling with it. If you have your hoses on or off, it doesn't matter. It'll keep from the oil from tipping out of there. You can use your micron gauge to hook up to the blank off to test your vacuum pump to make sure that you can even pull down to 500 microns or less. Okay. But again, think of it as an on and off similar to a water faucet. It's either on or off. Okay. Open the ballast after starting the pump. What's the ballast used for? The ballast is used for to bypass the moisture initial or the oil on initial startup. Okay. Basically, when you open that ballast and you start to see those vapors coming out, those water vapors coming out, those non-condensables, when you get to 15,000 microns, and this is nominal, okay, I talked to a lot of different manufacturers over the years, and there was a wide variance on this, depending on the manufacturer. But what I found was they all agree 1,000 microns, we can start shutting that ballast down, okay, after. And what it does is it actually opens it up and is like a vein that bypasses the oil. In other words, your oil in your vacuum pump will last a lot longer and do a lot more work for you if you open your ballast at the very beginning. Do you have to use it? No, the answer is no. You don't have to use it, but that's what it's there for, and that's all I really wanted to share with you. After you hit that 10 or 15,000 microns, you close the ballast and monitor that pull down. If you downloaded the AE Bulletin app, Emerson app, and I hope you did, you can look this up. It's AE-1105. It talks about the principles of cleaning refrigeration systems, full vac, and those kind of things. But a step-by-step helpful little bulletin for you if you're ever in doubt. So we have a Schrader cords. We want to use the proper hoses we talked about. For example, here's a nice little ditty. This is the core remover that I pass around the class, the one that I have. I actually have two different brands. Do not remove the cores. You're approximately, if you have a 6 CFM pump, for example, you will be pulling down actually about a 0.2 CFMs if you leave the cores in. So you're not really getting the whole capacity of your vacuum pump if you're leaving the cores in or not using the proper hoses. All right. This is just a scale that we use. We're showing microns on the left-hand side, how many minutes. At 500 microns, you're not tight and dry on the system. All right. Anything above that 1,000 area, you can see the vacuum's tight, but we've got moisture in the system. So down. Now, on that note, if for some reason you pull down to 500 microns and you come back a few minutes later and it's bumped up a little bit, is that necessarily the end of the world? No. You might have gotten a little moisture tucked away somewhere in the oil. Okay. So don't be afraid to pull down. Don't panic. Pull it back down again and make sure it holds. Now, if it keeps climbing up, obviously we got to go look for a leak. This is what copper plating looks like, and what pulling down a good micron. Okay. What copper plating is the moisture that's left into the system is acidic. So everything that it comes in contact, the first month, the first year, the next 5 years, that acid is gonna eat anything, any copper that it comes in contact with, line sets, whatever that looks like. This is an actual a semi-hermetic K body that I pulled out of a teardown that I did last year. And we see this all the time, by the way. This is very, very common. So what's going on there is we've got moisture that's turning acidic, and that's causing high heat, and that's where copper plating comes from. The combination of high heat and moisture in the system. And that, my friends, is all I have for you today. If for by chance you are on call, if you have questions, by the way, you can send them to me in the comments. You can email me. You can, instant message me, whatever you'd like to do, whether it be on the Fun Fact Facebook page or on LinkedIn, whatever that looks like. Don't forget to go to our website, Contractor Toolbox Talks. You can get there by our educational services website when you sign up for classes, whether that's instructor led or e-learning. Make sure I'll put the link to that in the comments down below so you can get to that. A lot of good stuff that the guys and gals from Emerson are doing. I'm involved also, but good stuff there. You'll see Trevor Matthews and different ones out there. So that's all I have for you today. I want you to be safe. If you're on call, please watch what you're doing. Lock out, tag out, and everyone else out there. I hope you got something out of it. Keep learning. Share the knowledge. It's so important to do that. Pass it on down the line. I'm Don Gillis from Emerson at the Copeland plant in Sydney, Ohio. Have a great week, and I will see you next weekend. Bye bye.